On game night, Nikki, Candice, Mike, Lincoln, Rusty, Mark, Aaron, and myself, Dave, are going to discover which three of us aren't going to make the game night basketball team. No, I'm just kidding. Instead, it's the 2023 Spiel des Jahres episode where we're going to talk about the nominees, we're going to make predictions, we're going to do all kinds of exciting stuff, so stick around. All right, it's our annual Spiel des Jahres episode. We've done this every year for a bunch of years now, so a lot of you are already familiar with this. We're going to talk about the 6 games, the 3 games nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, and also the 3 games nominated for the Kennerspiel des Jahres. These are the games. We've laid them out right here. For the regular Spiel des Jahres, it's Dorf Romantic, Fun Facts, Next Station London. And for the Kennerspiel, it's Iki, Challengers, and Planet Unknown. It's sort of a free-for-all discussion. We're going to start with Candice on the other side of the table. We're going to also, let's start over here at the Kennerspiel. Candice, go ahead and pick one and start us off. Yep.
Okay. Ooh, I'm going to pick Iki.
Okay.
Iki is a game that it's been around for a while because there was a first edition of it. It was kind of one of those games I always wanted to get, but it's been out of print. I finally got to play it at BGG Spring, and I could not stop thinking about it after I played it. I think it's one of those games that is, feels kind of like medium weight, like maybe a medium plus, but it has a lot of interaction where you can use other people's characters on the board, and there's a really cool rondel. And I think it's a lovely game for this category, and I'm glad it got nominated.
Cool. Aaron, you actually taught this game when we played it. What do you think?
I think it should win the award for Best Publisher Name. Sorry, we are French.
Yes.
But I agree with Candice. I actually like Iki quite a bit. As I said on our previous Iki episode, I liked the art and the sort of distinctive Japanese style of the older edition, but this is also a great component upgrade and modern board game version of it. I really like the mechanics in it. It is medium weight plus, but I don't think there's really anything super hard to grasp in it. It's got a really neat mix of characters and, the fire and fire defense tracks that sort of get more dangerous as the game goes on. It's got a lot of really neat things happening, and I don't think it's that difficult, and it really uses its setting very well. It is a game about that particular marketplace in that particular city in Japan, and it feels like it when you're playing the game, which is really an important part of game atmosphere to me.
I'm also a big fan of Iki. I really liked the older version, as Aaron was talking about. I liked the art of that one, so I was a little apprehensive when I found out they were going to republish it and give it a different sort of look.
Reskin it. Yeah, but it's the same theme.
Yeah, same theme. And I think actually the production is fantastic. I think it's wonderful, like all the way down to the rule book, which I think is phenomenal. Just a wonderful production all in all. Big fan of it.
Yeah.
This was my first introduction to the game, so I didn't play the original, but one of the things I really liked about that was that fire mechanic and the not knowing the disaster where it was going to land, and you're taking that risk to have to place what you need and what you hope others need to be able to build your game up. You're putting that at risk, and you don't know where it is, but you've got to try to mitigate that. It's that nice balance of risk versus reward, so I did really enjoy that.
I like Iki as well. I played the original game. I think the new components are fantastic. I think they did a great job on that. The fire mechanic is that, you talk about risk-reward, I feel like it's the tragedy of the commons, because if you don't deal with the fire, then whose building is going to be destroyed? And
Mine.
Mine. That happens.
But if you all worked a little together to defend against it, then
You can, but you got to make sure your buildings are in the right place, because the fire gets smaller as it goes inside.
Right.
I do think that I like using the mechanic of using other people's buildings, but you also have to make sure your guys don't get retired by the time you want to use them.
Yeah.
So there's some choices in there. I think it's a little heavier than people think for the Kennerspiel. But it is a solid game, and I'm glad that it got nominated.
I've only ever played this one. Are there differences between this and the original?
Not much. It's pretty minor.
They're pretty small.
I think we got one thing wrong
we
because
stumbled
Aaron
over
used I sent him the old rules.
Ah.
So these were not easily available at that point in time?
There's
or something?
it's a change on the bidding track.
Coin.
Yeah.
It's a coin difference.
It's
thing.
And
that was like you get a coin for when you take the
when you go first or something.
Yeah, when you take there's the awful
That
first one. Yeah, they didn't have that
Yeah.
coin, and I think Nikki kind of got only like once.
Once, I think,
when we played the game and we talked about it
there are
afterwards,
very small differences.
we thought it was Nikki
okay.
was the one that got hit the most, but I actually think it was you and Nikki that both got hit once with that one. Because you don't want to take that one necessarily. I think the game's great. I really, really enjoy it. I didn't ever play the original edition either. I've never even seen any of the art. I thought they did a wonderful job. I think this game's more difficult than people are, like Mike says, acknowledge, because the fire stuff is actually a challenge, and the movement is a challenge. And figuring out like all of the, you're like, oh, okay, I'll do this. Oh, wait, I can't, right? It's a great game, and I feel it's a little hard for the Kenner. That doesn't mean that it can't win. The jury has a lot different folks in it now, but I just think it's a really good one, but I also think it's a bit higher on the scale for those types of games. But it is a really, really great game. I did win that one, I think, by the way, too. So that was probably why. If you win, you tend to
I think you did, but I think I can still remember the moment that I lost it by choosing the wrong
You chose the
building.
wrong thing in the final round, I think.
And,
yes.
and so that's still like, it's the kind of game where you think about it after you played it.
Right.
And you go like, what can I do better? Or what? Like, when a game sticks with you like that,
For sure.
that's a very good sign.
Yeah, it's a really great game.
I ended up having, both times that I played it, I had one of my buildings burned. And the very first time when it was taught to me at BGG Spring, they said that you kill your person if they burn in the fire, and I thought it was out of the game. So I played a chunk of the game, and everybody at the table thought that too. I played a chunk of the game where I was short one worker. Wow. I think I ended up winning though.
Wow.
Anyway, or coming like second, even with that.
If everyone followed that same rule, right? Maybe
I'm the only one that lost someone though.
Oh, wow. Well, that's pretty impressive.
What did you think, Nikki P?
Right. I liked this game a lot.
Yeah.
I liked its everyone's involved, everyone's playing together, even though you're trying to win.
Retiring
yourself.
your character before it's done is
You're
involved in that too, and kind of like, please don't go yet. I want to use that one.
And so the involvement of everyone else playing the game in your game is great. You're not just focused on your own thing.
Right.
So I enjoyed the whole going around the board and just figuring it out. I really liked this game.
I think I remember several times like, oh crap, I didn't plan that right. It is a weird deal.
The push-pull of that was very cool.
Yeah.
Right. You want someone to use your thing, and at the same time, you want to make sure it's there for you. That part was really neat.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. Let's move on to Planet Unknown. Who wants to start on this side of the table?
Well, I can't talk. I love Planet Unknown.
Okay.
I love.
We can't stop you talking. Is what you're trying to say?
don't. I like the mechanic of that we're all in the game together. We choose, and then when you pick a tile, you only have two choices, and you're forced to play it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of interaction with everyone because you're trying to see, well, if I take this tile and I spin the Lazy Susan this way, that's going to help me and hurt other people. Many different boards. You can play symmetric and asymmetric, and you can also do some types of difficulty levels if you're playing with new people versus people that are experienced. I think it's a fantastic game, and I can't wait for the expansion to come out for sure.
Cool.
I had only first played this at the con, but I actually owned a copy of it before then. But, that's circumstances.
Did you back it on Kickstarter?
I did not. It was a gift to me by my nephew, which was surprising. He walked into a game store and says, I need something for my uncle. What do I get? And they went, here, try this. So I was very fortunate. I do not have one of the deluxe editions.
We don't either.
Yeah, I'm waiting, hoping that expansion that may come out.
There's a nicer version than this.
I know.
So there's plastic impact craters and plastic support rods or whatever. They have the same rovers, I think.
This was perfectly fine.
I know, it seems fairly deluxe.
It's just the difference is there are more boards for different types of commands. So they've increased the range. I think there's plenty in here. Basically, you pass one out to everybody, and then they can choose whether they want to play one side or the other.
Right.
So you could play the basic one, or you could play one of the advanced ones, and it's pretty awesome. Then you'd have to have the right corporation board for it, but
I think that's fantastic then, because I have played the deluxe edition, and there's there's a lot more varieties. I think it's great that the regular version has a lot of variety, and then you can pay for the deluxe version.
Well, the deluxe was Kickstarter only. I don't know that they may be. People want the deluxe opportunities. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, because we actually played. So friends of ours from Australia came after Gen Con last year, and we played. They had purchased a copy at the flea market, maybe the virtual flea market, and so they came and taught us the game, and it was fantastic. And we already knew we loved it because we played on the cruise.
Yeah.
But we.
BGG cruise.
Yeah, the BGG cruise. Sorry. So yeah, we played it a bunch on the BGG cruise. So what do you think, Nikki P?
I like this game. I couldn't wait to get it. They Adam's Apple Games was at Gen Con.
And they were sold out in 20 minutes.
And they were sold out in 20 minutes. And we had come in to get, I wanted
specifically,
it
trying to
specifically pick up a copy.
But we couldn't get right away.
Get it because it was already sold out. So I was really happy when this finally showed up. I have not played it asymmetric. We've only ever played it all balanced.
Yeah, we're always teaching somebody.
I enjoy it. There isn't as much player interaction in this in Planet Unknown as like an Icky kind of thing, but I still enjoy the puzzle aspect of it and laying out your land, and it's got tiles, so
automatic 2-point bonus from Nikki.
Mark?
I mean, I'm a fan of any game that has like a big central piece, and just that Lazy Susan is just fantastic. I love that.
S period, U period, S period, A period, N period.
Right, that's right. That's right. It's a little too tracky for me, where most of what you're doing is just moving up tracks. But I did like it. I love the simultaneous play. That's always nice to get things going.
The only problem is if you don't remember to put down meteorites. Impacts. I didn't. There were 3 in a row. I'm watching the video. I'm like, what am I doing? And I just was like, so it was our first 4K. One of our first that day was our first 4K shooting, and I was stressing about stuff, and I just obviously wasn't. That might have been the first thing we shot. I don't remember.
It didn't stop Gabby from crushing it.
Oh, I know. She hurt herself by not taking one meteorite, and she put it back into the pool. But at the end, I think she had 6. She might have maybe missed some more. It was too hard for me to pay attention to all that when I was actually reviewing the edit, but I was like, I was so disappointed when I saw that I'd done that, because I was like initially focusing on not getting meteorites on the board, and then you don't have a choice, right? And I did 1 or 2 and then forgot 3 and then didn't, and then I just somehow missed 3 in the middle, which is silly. That's the only downer about simultaneous play that I think is kind of potentially hurtful, right? Nobody means to do that.
That's any game.
Yeah,
that's any game. Were you done, or did you?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Then hang on, because I don't think Rusty ever finished.
Well,
did you ever finish?
I think I got close, but I just I just wanted to talk about the tracks and how I enjoyed the fact that you could cascade things, and if you worked it right, one turn could just really catapult you, and then suddenly powers open up, and the game just kind of opens up for you the ability to start placing tiles elsewhere. You're no longer I'm building off of here. That was.
They had a comment about you playing and saying, that you've forgotten the rule that you have to place it adjacent. I'm like, oh no, I think at that point all of us were basically at level 1, so you can ignore the placement rules.
Yeah, and I look forward to, with the asymmetrical sides, the different abilities that can come with that. So there can be different rules instead of that ability to unlock the place anywhere. There can be something else now that I can look forward to.
Right.
I thought Planet Unknown was excellent. For me, that simultaneous gameplay is nice, but for me, I'm usually a faster player, so I felt like I was like sitting around waiting a lot for other people. But I think it's very hooky. Like, yes, the Lazy Susan, for everybody to choose their tile. You have your puzzle. The iconography is really great. It's like, I move up this track, I put this thing down. I like unlocking text. I like that you can add event cards to it. And to me, like, it seems like it's just a great game. But at the end of the day, I was thinking about Iki the rest of the weekend and not Planet Unknown. And I don't think it's a game like that I will rush out to get, but I would recommend it to a lot of people to play because I think it's very well done, and I think a lot of people will, really be into this. But
I maybe partly what you're saying, because I felt this, is Planet Unknown is a tough one for your first time, because the little challenges, the inner player challenges, like between each side, you almost I would almost suggest not playing with those the first time you play the game. Now that I've played it once, and I've only played it that one time,
Right.
Because 5 points in that game is a lot of points.
Well, it was harmful to me because I had two periphery challenges, and
it's a lot of points, and it's hard.
I could only choose one, and I was like, I'm not going to win on either one.
It's a hard thing to keep track of while you're also trying to learn the game for the first time.
I don't think I played with that because that's not how they had it set up at
with the
BGG
challenges
Spring.
between the players.
Yeah, no,
Well, that's probably smart.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. That is true. I remember.
I think that would
one
be
of my games.
a good intro. Way to play.
I definitely
Not
would.
savage.
What I was going to lose on both sides, so I had to. Make
Yeah,
I
I
did
did.
win, but I definitely had to make up for it on the last.
I, in fact, one of the times teaching it at the con, people ask, well, what are these challenges? And I said, let's not start with that. It's just
smart.
another level. And they really enjoyed it that way. And then I explained what they were afterwards, and they went, oh, I can see how that'll
Especially
because
because the first time you're playing it, you are probably more than anything solely focused on the thing that I like, which is the puzzle aspect of how do I fit all these things together. And I have to say, I don't remember maybe once in the entire game ever rotating the tile placement such that I was defensively rotating it.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I was almost always rotating it for whatever was best for me, hoping that I wasn't just giving stuff away to other players. And it just seems like, I mean, to me, that's if there's anything that you could call a knock against the game, it would be that. It's that in trying to play your best game, you might be throwing something to somebody unintentionally, and I don't like the idea that you'd have to constantly pay attention to that.
Right.
And I don't think you'd have to, actually. You might be able to play... I mean, if everybody played that way, if all 4 players were just taking their best tile, then it ultimately wouldn't matter, and as long as you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So in that regard, the puzzly aspect of it, I liked a lot in that regard.
I think I agree with your point there, but I've also only played it once, so I have a lot more scope to explore and things to learn about it. But I did use that somewhat defensively and rotate so that I could choose a good piece for me, but also leave the worst possible one for whoever was going. So I think a lot of tableau builders where you're sort of maximizing your own thing in front of you, but also affecting what other players are getting, have that problem in that either it's another layer of things to worry about, or you're just going to totally ignore that and only focus on maximizing your own points and placement. I also think if there's one caveat for me about the game, it's just that there's so many different points of information and ways to interact with your terrain and tracks and technology that it can be a little overwhelming for a beginning player. And like Candice was saying, if you're not the person who's the first time learner, you might be waiting for that person to finish their turn every time and figure out their puzzle every time.
It's also hard to know when you have a game like this where there's a lot of different tracks. It's very hard to know. It's hard to not spread everything out because you think, well, everything's good, so I should try to do everything. And a lot of times games like these reward you just focusing on two things and just slamming
doing
them.
it.
Shoot the moon on one of them.
Maybe, I don't know. Again, that one time, but you're not wrong. I mean, I could see where if you knew who the leader was, like if 2/3 of the way through the game you could see like, oh, Candice is winning, then I could see you rotating it such that you're not giving Candice a piece that really helps her. But in the beginning of the game,
You're not paying attention.
you're just taking what's best for you. Right?
And it is very hard to judge, especially with more than 2 or 3 players, who's winning across the table here. Like how many
Maybe
points
with
does
more
Link...
plays, once
for sure.
everybody's
With
like
more
real-
familiarity. But it's hard to grasp easily like what's going on all these different boards very quickly, especially if you don't know everybody's special.
One interesting thing about it, though, the only time that it matters that you place a tile really is when you're hoping to use the power source ones to activate something else. Otherwise, you can just do it wherever the heck it fits because adjacency doesn't matter. It's not important to have the biomass ones next to other biomass ones.
Especially if you are ignoring the challenges, right? The challenges are what cause you to place tiles in ways you might not normally.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's funny you mention that because after a couple plays, the people who I was playing with sort of were not really happy with the idea that the placement wasn't really important. And the way we got around that was actually adding more personal goals. So there was more restriction. They wanted more restriction, more consideration per placement.
Did you play with the challenges?
Yeah, we played with the challenges.
Because the challenges will definitely force you into placing tiles in specific patterns.
Right. They wanted even more constrictions loaded onto that.
Wow. Hardcore level.
Did they also play with the beginning boards? Because there's some boards that...
Yeah.
Okay, so some boards are even more advanced. They tell you there's little comments on the corner.
Right.
So
No,
you,
yeah. Wasn't
yeah,
beginning
you can
boards.
definitely ramp up the difficulty, and it can be very hard.
Okay, interesting.
Which I think is a plus for the game.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It's really exciting.
Sure.
All right, Mark, we'll stay with you. Go ahead and
Yes.
start us off with challengers.
So challengers, probably the lightest of the three here, and it is a deck construction. What do you call those games? Like an auto battler, I guess.
That's auto battler.
Yeah, and so you're constructing a deck that is being pruned and added to round by round. The thing I like about challengers is you can play with a lot of players, and it's also simultaneous play. And what you're doing basically is constructing a deck. I think there are 7 or 8 rounds, and you are every round you can be playing a different opponent. If you have enough players, I guess there is some doubling up when you're playing a smaller player count. But you construct a deck, shuffle it up, and then you're auto battling. You're basically playing a tug of war type game where you're trying to hit the higher number and then meet the other player's number, and you keep doing that until either you have discarded too many unique types of cards or your deck runs out. Just sort of like a set it and forget it sort of play style where you just build up your deck and play it out. I've really enjoyed the fact that I can play this game in a short amount of time with a lot of people. It's fit really well as a like start of the night or in between sort of type of game where we have a lot of people sort of standing around waiting for another game to come up. But there's enough that we just want to do something quickly, but all of us to be involved, and it's really fit the bill in that regard for us.
Interesting.
I've really enjoyed the aspect of it that the brawlers, when you're battling back and forth, though you may have a high number that you've just created, it's only the last card that's there. So you may have this card that's wonderful, but suddenly in defense, it's not that great.
Yeah.
So you've got that challenge of, am I going to keep those cards that work with the synergy and allow me to win the fight, but maybe I'm looking for the ones that'll allow me to keep the flag and not lose it. So it's that great give and take, and I love that, just because you won the fight doesn't mean you're going to easily keep
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with you on the auto battler. I play Super Auto Pets a lot, and this did remind me of that. I do think that the teaching is a little tough, especially trying to understand how you prune the deck, because that's the meat of the game.
Right.
The auto battler part is just watching and just hoping you win.
Right.
That's as you probably know, that's a very popular online game mode, and I think it's very novel and interesting how challengers adapted that to a board game. I actually haven't played. I've just watched some people play and watched some videos on challengers, and I do think that's a really original concept to bring into the board game space. We'll probably have more to say about that in another game very shortly. But but if that's not the kind of game you'd like to play online, it may not be the kind of game you like to play as a board game. And it is just sort of a set it and forget it. Once your deck is made, it's just watch and see what happens. So it may not be fun to play that way for everybody.
So this one is like my least favorite of these, but it's not terrible. What I actually really like is the bench management. To me, like trying to get the right cards that you won't affect filling up your bench is fantastic, but it's also a lot of luck having that happen and come up. Same with the cards themselves. Dave recalls when I played the game that basically I had the card I could not have come up first twice. You know what I mean? Which is painful. And but we have not. Nikki and I have, and Candice, I think, are the only ones that haven't really played it with a larger group.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, 4 seemed good. I mean, we were really playing with 3.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, and I have fun with it. It's just not one that I felt compelled to come back to. But I am intrigued by the deck, and there was Challengers 2 was at BGG Spring, and I'm intrigued by that. It's just more of the same.
Just more different cards, right?
But yeah, I'm eager to see that. I would like to try to have. I mean, there's a flaw in our video which people have noticed because we didn't edit around it. We could have totally covered it up, but I had the wrong card. I played like something that. What happened to me twice in the game is I got a card that was a level 3 and we were in level 2. And I didn't notice. I'm like, wow, this is powerful, right? And so then when it came up, we're like, hey, that's level 3. I'm like, oh. And so we had to change. And I didn't get to actually build my deck on those 2 because I chose those cards, and I should have caught it, but I didn't. It was my first play.
It was just shuffled into the wrong stack.
Yes, they were in the
something.
wrong pile. And so that probably colored my opinion a little bit. But I do think it's a neat game, and I really loved the bench. I thought the bench was the neatest thing because it was really challenging.
Let me ask a direct question to Nikki, our resident artist. It's a very colorful and interesting and art style looking game. What do you think of the look of it? Okay, maybe we don't need that question.
I liked the cartoony style of it. And it says on the box that it's going to be fun and probably fast and, just every bet in the name, just, you're fighting each other. Boom, 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 boom. So, yeah.
All right. It does what it says.
Yeah.
What did you think of the game?
It conveys. Agreeing with Lincoln, the most exciting part of the game to me was the whole bench system. I did really like that a lot. I would like to try to play it again because I did enjoy it enough to want to try to play that again and do the bench system. And just like Lincoln, we didn't play with big group. I've heard from many people in the big group, that's what makes it amazing.
Yeah, I think I need to play Challengers also with a big group. I played it with just 2 of us. It was a late night at BGG-Con last November, and I walked away kind of thinking it was okay. I would play it again, and I'm especially intrigued to play it knowing that a lot of people are saying it's more fun with a lot of people. But for me, it wasn't something, kind of like Lincoln was saying, that I was jumping to play again. And it could be because I played it with 2 players.
When you played it 2 players, did you play all 7 rounds? Because the 2-player game is weird. It can end early.
I don't remember. I mean, I think we did whatever the normal rules were. Derek actually taught us.
The 2-player rules are if at any point someone's 11 points ahead in a 2-player game, it just ends.
Okay.
So you don't even necessarily
the
get
mercy
all 7
rule.
rounds.
We don't need to go any further. Yeah.
So Challengers last week showed up on Board Game Arena.
Okay.
And so now I've played it around 10 times there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
About half of those with the full 8 players.
Oh.
So let me talk a bit about Challengers because I liked this game when we played it on our video, and you were a little less than that. And I've come around to your point of view on this game now that I played it a bunch. The thing that's interesting and that's cool is that when you do play with 8 players, it's 4 matches that go simultaneously. And on Board Game Arena, that's especially great because they're all strangers that you're mostly playing with. So I don't care about the other 3 matches, right? I don't know what it would be like if all 8 of us played where I knew everybody, because while I'm, say, playing against Mark, part of me might want to watch the games you guys are playing because you're my friends and we're all at the table. So I don't know how that works. Online, it works fantastic, right?
Okay.
Because it's just, the game is just churning along. You can scroll down, you have access to all challenges that go on during the game, but whether you watch them or not is up to you. You're in the middle of your game, so really you're only going to watch it if you end early. Brian, who he and Tashi were doing the kids games, I had talked to him. He's played it with 8 players, and he says they love it. They actually talk smack and against the opponents that are playing that aren't them.
Right.
Like Brian says, if I finish my game and there are 2 people, you're like, really? That's your deck? Right. You chose that card? Like, what were you thinking? So they're making the game sort of fun for them. But now that as I said, now that I played it a bunch of times, this is a game that I think is a perfect example of what sometimes comes up of the, whether it's true or not, cliche of the European gamer versus the American gamer, which is, are you okay with a game that's fast and has a lot of luck and has a lot of stuff that's out of your control, and then the game could just end for you, and you lose and you don't even necessarily know how it happened. Like there's a subset of European players that I think are very happy with that and are very okay with that. And so really it's just a question of, are you okay with that? The 8-player game of Challengers reminded me a lot of 7 Wonders with 7 players. Because in Challengers, in Seven Wonders, I'm playing and I'm paying attention mostly to Nikki and to Rusty.
Right. Yeah.
At the end of the game, I'm like, I got 64 points. And someone from across the table is like, yeah, 83. And you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So this is the same.
Yeah.
I'm playing my deck and I'm building them and I'm winning some of these battles and I'm losing and I think that I'm doing well and then all of a sudden you are eliminated. Like, now I can watch the 2 winners like play their final challenge. And to Board Game Arena's credit, they give you a chance to bail right then if you don't want to stay on screen and watch them play.
Wow.
So if you're okay with that, this is very cool because it does play 8. It does play fast. It is fun to try to set up a deck, but like happened to Lincoln on the thing, and like that has happened to me several times, there is a huge random element to it that you have to be okay with. You have to be okay with, oh my god, this card and this card and this card are going to be perfect for each other in sort of synergy, except guess what? Nope.
It never
because
came out
they just didn't come up that way ever. The entire time you had them set up for like the whole game. And as long as you're okay with that. On the other hand, it's happened that it has come up perfectly for me a couple of times, and it is glorious when it happens. Right? So, I mean, if you're willing to sort of put that aside.
The reason I don't mind that luck element is because, you're playing one-on-one every time. And so if it was more skill-based or exclusively skill-based, I think there'd be more pressure. Like, people would feel bad if they lost. And I think the randomness makes it so that if you lose, you can just attribute it to the luck of the draw.
That's true.
It's a much more
built-in excuse.
Right. Actually, I'm glad you said luck of the draw, because that's the other random element to this game, which is sometimes you can see someone's deck for the first time and they have like 3 of a kind of like this amazing card, and that was also just luck of the draw.
Right.
I mean, you can look at your first 5 cards and go, nope, let me see the next 5. And you can look at your next 5 and go, ugh.
Right.
And you still have to take 2 of those, whether you like it or not. So there's also that. There is that weird, it's not so much rich get richer, it's sort of like the rich can just luck
fall into things.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it doesn't take a long time.
Right.
And you're right. The idea that you can get 8 people and you can play a game that could take less than a half hour potentially is insane and kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I see that aspect of it. All right. That's these. That's the Kennerspiel. We're going to vote on the Kennerspiel right now. Okay?
Okay.
Right.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to vote first for the game that we want to win. Not the game we think is going to win, but the game that if we were on the jury, we would pick to win.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. We're just going to point to the game that we're going to go to. You ready?
Okay.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, point. All right, we've got 3 Ikis and 5 Planet Unknowns. That's about kind of what I'd expect.
Okay.
All right. Now we're going to vote for the game we think that the jury is going to pick. And I got to tell you, this is always the hard part.
It is.
Because this is an interesting group of games.
It's a very diverse mix.
Yeah. I mean, all right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
You guys?
guess
Okay,
so.
ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, point.
Wow.
Everyone but Lincoln. And wow. With challengers. Okay, Lincoln, talk to me for yourself.
I know that the
They love
Europeans-
this one, you think?
every time I talk to somebody, 4, it's okay. 6 or 8, it's awesome. I mean, many people have said that. Now, that's the European market. If I were picking, which I did, I picked Planet Unknown. I really love Iki. I just don't think that one can win. I think it should have a chance to win, but it's...
Do you think Iki is a little too dense or too hard?
I think it's more advanced than the prize will probably give them. I mean, again, this is a new group of individuals running that are in the event now, and in the jury. And I could be completely wrong, but everybody I've talked to, not just jury people, they just love this game.
Yeah.
They love how quick it is and how.
This is maybe part of what I'm saying, right? This is that European
thing,
sensibility
maybe.
that we just don't have.
I mean, believe me, I generally do well picking with the jury, but I have no clue. I really don't have a clue what they're going to do.
But do you pick a game that is only fun with 6 or 8 people?
That's my problem with it, right? I feel that that's...
Yeah.
I feel that's not great for a family, right?
Right.
Maybe some larger families, but I don't know that it's great for the
Right.
stereotypical four family.
I didn't say this before, but you know what I actually did like about this? I like that that you can play with odd number of players, and that there's this sort of weird, like almost robot system built into the game. I don't know why that always amuses me. I just love that that's built
Well, I
into
mean,
the
I
game.
love this game. This I think is probably the one to beat in reality. But I just feel that this is the one that they're going to choose. And this is not even what I'm putting myself in the jury's mindset, which isn't necessarily
like it.
accurate.
I like it. You're gonna clean up.
I doubt it. I
I
doubt it. I mean, I think this is a good chance to win. It's a really fantastic game, and I think this is a chance too. The jury is different now.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the makeup of the jury, and obviously we're trying to predict people that we don't know. But if Lincoln is right and they go with challengers, I think it sort of indicates, that the awards are fairly close together, because this is the lightest possible Kenner.
Well, did you see
that any of us can imagine?
It's also different.
This game
Right?
is different.
This is a board game that you know as a board game.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is a board game. It's a little
Okay.
different, but it's still like you understand these. This is very different. This is like a new thing.
It is very different, and it stands out in a number of ways. But I think to a lot of us, we kind of go, does it belong in this category? Is
Sure,
it a
but I
Kenner
mean,
game?
that happens last year.
It does. It
similar
happens
things
quite a
happen.
bit.
But Rusty, this was always in play at BGG Con Spring.
Always in play.
Yeah.
Like constantly.
Well,
being
this
played.
is a perfect
this
convention.
Was played
this
well
is a
as well,
perfect
but this
con
takes a
game,
couple
right?
hours.
Because
Yeah.
it takes 8
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
when Just One came out. Like I
Yeah.
never didn't see Just One at any convention because
It takes a bunch of
I would come back 2 hours later and it was the same game with like 3 original players
Yeah.
and others had swapped out, and
right.
it was just like. But speaking of a different jury, let's segue over to the Spiel des Jahres here. Go ahead, Mike. Pick one and start us off.
Let's start with Next Station London.
Okay.
So it's a instead of a roll and write, it's a flip and write. I think it's I was taught it, so I think the rule book's a little dense, a little harder, but I do think it's a really straightforward roll and write, flip and write game. I think it's fun. I think there's a lot. To me, there's some player interaction where you're trying to see what other people are doing, but it is I think it's a nice, great game for this in this type of genre.
All right, Nikki P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Next station.
Next
London.
Station London.
It's a flip and write. It's fun. It's new for people that haven't done a lot of those kind of let's build a train track, let's build a subway, let's that sort of thing. I liked the idea of you could only draw the certain color that was your color.
Yep.
That was something different that I hadn't seen in a flip and write, in a let's build a train track kind of a game. And that was very interesting to me. I'd like to see other maps in it. I think that could add some more.
There already is one for Next
unique,
Station Tokyo.
yeah, okay. Unique starting points and things like that, I think, is what really brings the game in. There were some advanced cards and things that I don't think that I've played with, so I would like to see how that affects the game.
Pencil powers.
Yes,
We didn't play
pencil
with
powers.
pencil powers.
No pencil powers.
I played Next Station London once at BGG Spring. Steph Hodge taught it to me. She loves it, so it was always good to have a teach from someone who's very enthusiastic about it. I'm generally not a big roll and write, flip and write type of gal. It's just not my thing. I think that I did find it interesting that you have a color marker and then you play one round and then you pass markers, and then now I have to. And it's puzzly. It's cool. I think it could be appealing and addicting to a lot of people. But I thought it was cool.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
I am actually the opposite. I'm a huge flip and write and roll and write fan. And one of the things I really liked about this was the fact that you become your own worst enemy. Because, yes, you have the flexibility in the first couple of rounds, but now you're going to wind up limiting yourself because you can't draw next to yourself like in Ticket to Ride building next to another train. So you have to draw through, and you're trying to get these multi-connections, but each time you attempt, you're not necessarily going to get that card you need. You're not going to necessarily get the option. And it distracts you. You have to go somewhere else. And then on future rounds, again, you have now limited your choices, and you just have to make those hard decisions. and hope the cards come up. And I really like that. As the game went on, it got harder.
Sure.
And I'm the opposite of that, where I'm like
This side versus that side.
like Candice, I'm not a huge fan of roll and write and flip right in general, but I will agree with Rusty's take. I like how that sort of makes there be sort of like a learning curve. Like a lot of times with roll and writes and flip and writes, there's usually like something to learn, and then you sort of have it. But with Next Station London, I felt like my first 4 or 5 games, I felt an improvement. I felt like the strategy, sort of like understanding the strategy and the progression, I felt like I was getting better and better at it. And I don't really feel that necessarily in a lot of roll and write and flip and writes. I also liked, as we mentioned, the pencil powers, where, you get a different color each time, and you sort of like, now I'm getting the double play pencil, and it's like each pencil confers a power. I thought that was a cool part of it.
Right, we didn't play with the powers for that first game.
Right.
I think from a publishing point of view, the genius of everyone has their own color means they only have to put in 4 pencils in the box, and you pass them around, right? which is sort of brilliant. I really like this game, but there's no player interaction. I've said this before. It's a very odd game in that regard. And I was talking with someone about that, and that person was like, well, you like Take It Easy, don't you? And I'm like, oh, I do like Take It Easy. So what is it about Take It Easy? Because that has pretty much no player interaction. Right. But it does.
No, they're cutting each other off. You're playing on the same board.
In Take It Easy, there's that giant
you're not playing
communal
the same board,
bingo aspect.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Where you're rooting for something, and everybody is. By the last third of the game, people are potentially even shouting out like, 973, 973.
Yes.
Oh, yay! And so what I miss in Next Station London, even though I do like it, is that it's just a solo game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play with 4 players, but there's no player interaction. You're not ever looking to see what anyone else does. You're not racing anybody to anything. Like,
Did Take It Easy get nominated?
I don't know if it did, but I'm thinking of the games that have no play interaction. Are there really great ones? And to me, that's a great one, right? Yeah. Because
there is a community.
There is a social interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
In that game.
Right.
It doesn't exist here.
Exactly.
I will also say that Next Station Tokyo is on BGA, and it is way more complicated and for me less fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually even trickier, harder puzzly, and I did not care for that.
Agreed.
But I don't know. Maybe I would after a while. But what were we going to say, Lincoln? Anything?
I like the game. It's not my type. I like it more than I like Meta X. Meta X is like so opaque for me half the time. Like I don't realize my problem until 3/4 of the way through the game. You're like, oh man, I've really blown this.
Right.
So that is great. And I mean, we're biased. We love Matt Dunstan. He's a great guy.
I love
a good
Matt
friend of
Dunstan.
ours. And
I love Silver and Gold.
Yeah.
That's a flippin', right?
Cool.
But that's Phil Walker.
Oh, that was
Hardy.
Phil Walker.
Yeah. Maybe Matt worked on that one. I don't know.
Matt did
But I think
too.
it's Phil Walker Hardy.
Oh, well. Sorry, Matt.
But because we played a bunch of his games this year. We played so many games in season 10 of GameNight, and I think it's phenomenal. And I'm super happy he got nominated. I just don't. My problem is I don't like the non-player interaction. The one thing that I do really love about the game is the cards, because it's not always good. You may end very quickly depending on how the cards come out.
That's true.
And that's actually kind of exciting, the kind of like, can I get away with this? Is it going to show up? And that was the one part that I really enjoyed.
It's cool that you can sort of see and know what your possible options could be.
Yeah.
As opposed to it's just totally random. Like you're not rolling a die.
Yeah.
Where you
Right.
never really know.
Yes.
Right.
You know you're going to get
That's
at
the
least.
part that I really like.
You know you're going to get a circle and a triangle, and you might get a second circle or a triangle or whatever.
But I do feel you do back yourself into a corner. Like it's absolutely, you run out of space and you can't do anything with it. And that is the part that I feel that you do learn on.
Yes.
And it's cool.
Right, it's what Rusty
Yeah,
basically
that's what I'm
said.
saying. I'm agreeing with him 100%.
Are we doing the game a disservice comparing it to Take It Easy? Because I love Take It Easy, but I don't feel it's in the same.
No,
way.
it's not remotely the same game. It's just that was a game that someone had suggested to me that has no player interaction technically, but is still really fun. I was just trying to think of games that
I see what you're saying. I would never. Like, I see what you're saying.
they're not the same game in any way, shape, or form.
I would say no. If we're gonna play Next Station London, it's It's a little more thinky, a little more. We're going to do things ourselves, and hopefully we can beat our own puzzle.
In case I misrepresented myself, I really like this game because I like the puzzle aspect of it, and I like trying to figure out the roots. And what Mark said, right? Yep. I'm better at it now, having played it a few times than the first couple of times.
Right. Which means
I own that game because you liked it. That's why I bought it. I was like, the guy gave me the demonstration. He's going to have to play the game, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy it. Don't worry about it.
Right.
But I'm happy that you are getting better because that means there is depth in the game.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
You can get better at the game rather than just being 100% luck and I'm just figuring out my own puzzle, which can be super frustrating sometimes. You're trying to do the best you can and the game says, no, bad. You didn't flip the right cards.
All right, Nikki, take us to the next one.
Oh, no. Well, let's do fun facts.
All right.
It's fun.
And that's a fact.
All right.
It's a fact.
Dorfman.
Moving on.
It's a party game. It's a good icebreaker. Get to know people. It's in that genre of I've never met you before. Let's break the ice. And that's kind of fun. Some of the questions, maybe you want to skip. They might be a little too personal. I've actually heard a couple people who were like,
nope, when they heard the question.
Every time.
And that's like how many relationships you've been in with like more than a year or something like that. It was like, nope.
There's
I think in the rule book they say you just throw something at them.
Sure,
they do.
I enjoy kind of the way the ranking system works. There's been party games that have different types of ranking systems. I kind of like the way everybody puts them in where they think they're at, and then the person whose turn it is gets to rearrange them.
Just themselves.
Theirs, but they can slot themselves in
somewhere else
to maybe
which is essential.
Fix what they might think is a problem because it's all hidden information up until the end, and you reveal it. But I like that kind of the manipulation and the ranking of it is interesting.
I think the scoring on that is interesting too. I mean, I like that it just comes out. As long as you okay, this one's below, this just comes out, then the next one comes out. If it's fine, it'll just keep building on itself as long as you are getting them correct. Let's go to somebody else because I have something else I want to say about this at the end of all this.
Ironically, I see this being similar to Challengers in our viewpoint on this because, like you mentioned, the European viewpoint on games, the questions in this seem to have a different social feel, and that these questions may be acceptable within different communities, whereas we as Americans and the hardcore gamers have a different take on this. The jury may find this, and the people that they're looking to represent this as the Spiel des Jahres nominee and possible winner can go, this is a wonderful, wonderful game that many people will like. The other thing I wanted to mention also was that I found the game was not so much the game going on at the time, but it would continue conversations afterwards. Pickles and picky eaters.
Oh, okay. Picky eaters went on all
Candice in the game or something?
Eric Lang and I have a grudge about who's the pickier eater. And there was like one other person that, our picky eater.
You're fighting for the right to be the picky eater?
Because that came up as a question, and I'm like, really? You think, so we're stacking these, and everybody keeps going higher, and I'm like, I'm a picky eater. And then so it did, like, we were joking about it the rest of the weekend.
So you guys both played this at BGG Spring?
Yes, we did.
Was it always with the full complement of players?
What is the full complement? I think we played about 6.
It goes up to 8.
I think we played with 6.
Yeah, and I've played this before, like probably like 2 other times. I think it's a fun game. It's definitely like not one of those party games like Just One or Top 10 where I play it and I'm like, I have to get this, I have to show this to all my friends, like but it is fun. It gets some laughs. We do definitely have a lot of skippable card moments where people are like, we all look at each other like, let's go move on to something different. But it's a cool social experiment. Like, this is a game that I think some people will only want to play with people they know.
Right.
Also, but it could be an icebreaker with people you don't know.
It's a challenge with your spouse, by the way, because you're like the range. Nikki and I both were like pretty certain, but we'd have like 1 point difference or something. Then that would mess you up.
Did you play it at BGG Spring too? Or
yes,
no?
we did.
Did
we played
you play
it
with
played
8
everything.
players ever?
I think we played it with 6.
Yeah.
And we had a good time with it. I've never played it with 8.
Yeah. We played it with people we knew and some people in the same game, so that was
interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Because I only played it that one time with you guys. We played it 4 players, which worked.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like it seemed like it was slightly less than at that number of players.
Yeah.
And for at 4 players, it seems like there'd be the more interesting sort of get to know you games that you could play than that. It worked just fine with 4. I think. Did we score 2 every time? Basically, I think.
It wasn't great. I remember.
I think we scored 2 almost every round.
It's actually kind of deep stuff, and we hang out with Deborah, but we don't know Deborah. You know what I mean? And she was kind of like one of the kind of out of left field ones for us, right?
Well, that's an interesting.
Although I had many that I thought for sure that you would be, and I was not at all.
Well, that's what's great about party games.
Wasn't it high heels?
And that. Yeah, maybe. and that's what's interesting.
He's like, I'm short.
And that's what's interesting about trying to design a game like this, right? Can you design a game where a sort of a get to know you game that's good with both people you know really well and still works with complete and utter strangers? And I think this one does that. I mean, I don't know how great it works for one over the other, but it doesn't not work for both groups. Mark?
Well, yeah, to harken back to what Candice said, I don't think it's as good a game as just one. I did have as soon as we played it the first time, like I immediately had to get the game. And I think to what Nikki was saying, it works. Fun Facts works both as at least for my groups, as an icebreaker for people who we don't know as well. And then you were saying like you might draw a card that's a little bit on the risque side and you set it aside. So I take all the cards I set aside and then I play with those cards exclusively with my close friends. And then you get like the real like
great.
Yeah. So I think it works both ways. It works
the after dark version.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That is awesome.
The blackmail version.
Right.
If you're telling the truth. Did you say something about Mike?
I do enjoy the game. I think I'm really happy that Repost Productions got another nomination this year. I think that it's not as strong as Top 10 or Just One, but I think it's a good game. I'm on the same boat. I think 4 is too low. I think there needs to be the robot, and there's some other way of getting more people. I think 6,
a robot
8,
player.
10.
I don't know what I like.
You want the choices of you. I never had the difficult choice of like it's your turn to place your wedge, and there are 6 wedges on the table, and you're like, okay, where am I in relation to so
it's fun.
and so?
It's hard. It's fun.
You get that on Top 10, and you may not get it with it on here when you're playing less people.
Well, Mike has some miracle pull out of his rear end thing on Top 10. Everybody's like, we still get responses on the video like, how did Mike know that?
So good.
Because Mike knew. That's how Mike knew.
This is Casper Lapp, who did Magic Maze.
Yeah.
Which
is such a just like this.
Yes.
I love Magic Maze.
But he also has another game that was on the recommended list.
Is it alliterative? Does it have an alliterative title?
It's called That's Not a Hat.
Oh.
And That's Not a Hat is way better for me, but I can see why it is not chosen as a nominee because holy cow is that game hilarious. It's really funny until somebody gets horked like 1, 2, 3 because they don't have, it's hard to keep track of it. And if people don't tell you the truth or, if they don't remember, because that's really what it is. You're like, do I remember exactly what this is? But I loved that one. And I had a great time with Fun Facts, but I can't not think about That's Not a Hat. I just love that hat. And I can't. I just love
that hat.
It's just hilarious. Like you're looking at their, where it's, is this what they say? Because you see, it's a picture of it. You flip it over and you take this hat. And it's just too funny because it starts shifting. The card tells you which way the cards are going to go, and so it's just insane. Like, can you keep track of just at least the 3 that are nearest to you, right? But it's good luck. It's insane.
That one it turns into telephone.
Yeah, this one's a better one for groups, and I think it's pretty darn solid.
All right, well, take us into Dorfromantik.
Okay, well, Dorfromantik is my favorite one of the year. I think the game, it is the most laid-back game. I didn't ever play the app, it's not an app. It's actually
a video
game. And I did look at it after the fact. Scott was showing me his Forever game that he's got going on of it, and I would love to try that out too. But I like that you have these goals where you're putting together the tiles and you're trying to make these. What are they called? The flag. The tasks. You have tasks. Can never remember the name of that. I love that, and I love that it becomes like we were so confident in one of our games where we're like, and then the tasks were like not getting through them, and so you're not going to score a lot of points. And I like that it keeps progressing as you go, and gives you new things to work at that might randomly show up or not show up, and it's really interesting. Like there's a lot going on where you go, okay, well, if we do this, we got to focus on this. We got to keep working on that. And of course, it comes up to the tiles that you flip, and those 3 tiles that are removed. The 3 tiles that are so painful. Almost every time you're like, I cannot believe that we, 3 of the ones you needed are right. That all 3 of them were that. It's insane that happens. But I really, really love the game, and I think it's a surprise. I had been wanting to play that since Spiel. I'd heard people talking about it, but it was German only, and as soon as we had a chance, we got it and we brought it home and played it. And we were actually fortunate because we filmed it before it was nominated. It's one of those things that I think is really cool, and I hope that others really like it.
I love the simplicity of it as far as just
mellow.
getting started.
Yeah.
And as the game goes on, because of that tech tree building mechanic that it has, you're opening up more boxes as you go. The more you play it, the deeper the game can get. And so
you're talking about the campaign now.
The campaign, yes. Which is, you don't have to play the campaign.
And it's resettable.
It's resettable. Yeah. And you can go in and you can play the same thing over and over again, or if you want more of a challenge, you start working on the campaign. You start adding components. And I think that gives the game life. It's not just something that's the same thing over and over again. It gives it the ability to grow with your group or just even yourself. So
I tend to shy away from co-op games in general, and this one is a little. Even when I do play co-op games, I do want a little bit of bite, and I feel like this is maybe like the
it's the most laid back.
Totally. I agree with you.
Yeah, a little too toothless for what I'm looking for. But I get like similar vibes to what I do when I play games like Tokaido. Those are really like zen, sort of relaxing, like a cooperative Carcassonne sort of feeling. So I like that about it. It's just I don't know if I'm itching to go back to it just because again I want some more aggression in my games.
It's funny because I have not played Dorfromantik, but I've played the video game.
Right.
And almost everything you guys say about the board game translates exactly to the video game.
Wow.
It is the ultimate cozy game. That's a very big sort of genre in video games right now, where you can sort of zen out and just relax. And there's points and goals and everything, but it's just so beautiful and calming, and it has like very faint background music and the windmills moving. It's just like that's the genre that it rose out of. And it's also really notable that I think the very first like free demo, hey look, we made a little game thing, was like 2 years ago. Like Dorfromantik, the whole
recent.
Journey is really recent for how quickly it came
the designers
from
of the
free game to release game to board game.
It only got into out of beta last year.
Yeah.
I mean, the game was a board game in October.
Yeah.
I did not
the
know that.
designers of this did Kuchfart, the little
carriage,
Adlung game.
That was
like
I
remember that game.
They had it's Kuchfart's the first word I think anyway, but it's also they did the Dwarves, which I never played from Pegasus, and they also did Undo. So it's kind of exciting for these guys to have. I think Dwarves did really well, but it didn't really get to in English quickly enough.
I played this once again at BGG Spring, and it kind of felt.
Are we advertising for BGG Spring? No. Is there a link for tickets below for people to click on?
BGG Fall coming up next.
Oh, that's
right. That's the link. Click here. No. It kind of fell a bit flat for me. Maybe again, like Mark, it's a little too chill where I'm almost like, all right, are we missing something? But like we didn't play a second game or unlock anything, so it's one of those games that you ever play a game where you're like, I didn't really love it, but then all these people are like, I love it, and you're like, what am I missing? So I'm kind of wondering, like, I'm curious to revisit this and maybe try unlocking some things, maybe play with different people and see if I have a different experience. But our group that we played with, we were kind of like, okay.
Eric Martin.
Eric Martin was one of them. But yeah, we were kind of just like underwhelmed.
It might not be for you, right?
Yeah,
But I also feel you must play multiple games of that game to actually really...
Door Fermented.
Because I think those things, adding to it, making it more... it is more challenging.
Oh, it definitely gets...
It gets way harder to do.
Yeah.
It's mellow, blah, blah. You can just do the things, but if you want to succeed and move ahead, you have to do well. And that's what's interesting about it, I think.
And yeah, that being said, like, I still can see what this could do for families and other people as a great game. And, you know, I'll share my opinion in a bit, but like over Fun Facts or Next Station London, you know.
The mellowness of it that everybody's mentioned, I liked that because it was interesting in a co-op to be
tension's
mellow,
not so heavy.
and the tensions weren't. And you know, co-ops can sometimes be a little like, sure, I'll just to shut you up.
I'll do what you want.
Exactly. Do it.
Cantankerous.
Let's just go. The mellowness of it was very enjoyable to me. The first game, the first intro is very simple, very like every kind of tile laying game. There's nothing crazy special about it. But once you start opening those boxes that are in there, they're giving you more goals. They're giving you some things to start thinking more about. And then they add more tasks to it and all of that kind of stuff. And the several times we've played it, it took us maybe, and I say us because I was playing with Lincoln, maybe like by the second game, we were kind of like, we really need to focus on those tasks if we want to score points in this game. It's not about making the pretty valley of whatever. You really need to get those tasks completed. You need to move down that task list. You need to get those task things out. But it took us like 2 plays.
I think the first game we played as a group, we did really well.
Yeah.
Then the second one, I think maybe we weren't doing the task as aggressively as we should have.
We were very full of ourselves.
Because we had a very high scoring first game.
Wait a second. You need to pay attention to this. I got that same kind of feeling from another game that was released, the Carcassonne...
Mists Over
Carcassonne, which was the very first like cooperative tile laying game. I was like, wow, okay. And that has tasks, and that has some goals. And it is interesting, and you move up to harder and harder versions. Right. Yeah. This has got a deeper thing going on in it, though, where you have to make the points to make the thing to get to this.
The other one evolves a little bit, too.
Yeah, but there's boxes opening.
For sure.
And I enjoyed them both, because it was the first 2 games where it was tile laying cooperative that I thought was interesting.
So let me ask a question for the group. So this reminds me a little bit like My City. In My City, the first couple games are slow and they're very simplistic, but you can't jumpstart the game because you got to open the packages in a specific order. Is that something you can do here, or do we need to play the more simple game and then work your way up to the box?
Well, you can't jumpstart necessarily just because you do. The way it works is you have to get a certain amount of points to move to the next level.
To answer your question though, yes, you could absolutely jumpstart everything.
Well, we had people that played because we had things unlocked. I think Candice actually played a second time. Did you play it twice or just once?
Just the once.
So basically, I think Eric had played it once before, and then Scott wanted to be,
whatever your score is at the end gets you a certain number of advancement on a campaign trail, and you can choose the path you advance on, and when you advance to certain things, you unlock them. But so far, to the best of my knowledge, having not seen everything in the boxes, there are nothing in the boxes so far that require them to be done in any certain order.
And that's the key.
And so that you probably could, if you wanted to, just empty a lot of them out to start with and start with them. You're not wrong, though, in that the first play is the gentlest of all the plays because it's the learn how to play the game play. Right. And that's what maybe turns people off if they're not crazy into it, because it's really hard. How many times have you sat down at a brand new game and someone's teaching you the game and they go, okay, look, we're not playing the base game. we're going to jump right into the advanced rules.
Well, that's what happens.
Sometimes that's the right thing to do,
Right.
but sometimes that is the wrong thing to do, and it's you don't know until you make that mistake whether it was good or bad.
I think you actually played this game incorrectly the very first time, though.
Really?
Because
the only time.
well, but the deal was you guys didn't put out 3 tasks one after the other in the beginning. It was I know you didn't because that was with Eric Martin, and the thing is those 3 things immediately you have to start dealing with.
Right.
And they're right next to each other. You guys did them like in the first 5 or something.
I think somebody said that only one of us had to put a task out in the first 3 turns.
So that was incorrect.
That is incorrect. Wow, that's how you started? It's a very different
game. This is one of the problems with the game in English. I don't know how it works in German.
The rules are a little...
The rules have some problems where like they have a weird negative example for connecting same types.
The exact number thing.
There's a few things that you guys got that one thing wrong. We got another thing wrong. And Scott actually had 3 things wrong when they first played. And he asked us, and I'm like, oh, we got that right. We got that right. We got that right. Then we play the game with him. He's like, what are you doing? You can't do that. We're like, what? And so we had this other rule wrong. Yeah. And so I think that the game has a problem in that regard. I don't know how the German rules are. I know Pegasus often has a partner in the United States.
Let me just clarify something you just said. The correct rules are there, and they are printed correctly. Yes. They're just printed in such a way that it was easy for us to read the correct thing and then later misinterpret it. But so I'm not saying they couldn't have done a better job.
They absolutely could have done a better job.
But the rules are not wrong in the box. I want to make that very clear.
Correct. They're not put together well. Exactly. I don't know the first 3 we had no problem with. When Scott asked me, I'm like, oh well, that's in there. I remember looking at it.
Correct.
Yeah. It was just that one where you're like, oh, and that's a weird example.
Yeah, it's
and I mean, we have Eric who does rules editing and Candice who plays lots of games and teaches games, looking at that game and playing it wrong, based on that one the starting thing, and it's weird to me like. Well, this is very clear, but it isn't necessarily clear because they didn't catch it. Yeah. It's a very odd thing on that one.
Yeah, and we sat down at the table. We didn't have anyone teaching us.
Right.
We just picked up the rules and we're like, okay,
If you're
I'm not surprised that we missed something.
It's easy to read it correctly and then forget you read it.
Yeah.
Or just get it wrong. Sense. I mean, if you look at the one that they had the problem with, which was placing the 3 tasks initially, you could miss it. It's very kind of strange how that's written. And it's a downer because if you get it wrong, it's going to be wrong. And I think it hurts the game not having those tasks because you have to unlock those tasks to move on. And so if you're not dealing with those 3 that are immediately adjacent to each other that are potentially terribly placed,
right?
That's the deal with those.
So my new opinion is I might love this game. When I play it right, we'll find out.
Well, I like the word cozy that you said because. That the thing that I really liked about the game, you think of a co-op game as the players playing against a system, right? There's like a bad deck of tiles that you have to win every turn, and this is not that. This really is this very kind of chill, cozy, whatever. Except that it isn't in the sense that if you are genuinely trying to solve the tasks and get the highest score you can. So it becomes more of like a group puzzle, and there is a rule in there that I love, which is the person that flips the tile, and you can all discuss it, and then whoever was that flipped the tile, they then can just ignore everybody and place the tile anywhere they want. So the rules give you permission to essentially not be bullied into like playing your tile where you don't limit it, which I think is also kind of cool. I really like this game, but you guys are all not wrong. I think the first time you play it, if it doesn't catch you, it might catch you the next time because the ease or simplicity of it might be what you didn't like about it. For me, it caught me from the beginning. I enjoyed the coziness of it right from the get-go. And I thought, okay, this is really neat.
Well, we wanted to play it more, and then
we immediately wanted to just keep playing it over and over and over.
So the next time we filmed, we played 2 other games, and then played more of this game. Wow! So it was all the same 4 of us, so it was really fun.
So we're first voting for the game that if you were on the jury is the game you would pick, the one you want to win.
All right. I need a copy of QE.
That's recommended.
Okay, but hang on before we do the vote because you didn't play any of these.
That's correct.
But you did play QE, and you played Acropolis as well, right?
That's right. I think those were both excellent choices, and I'm sure they were just just under the nomination threshold.
So just between those two, which one would you pick?
QE. QE is a
like
great.
it over
I think
Acropolis?
QE is a classic auction game that I will be playing for years.
Neat.
All right.
I thought Acropolis would have been here. That was
I was very surprised.
It's
I was
so
surprised.
jury to me. It's so SDJ. It feels like.
I'm really sad I didn't get
I
it.
think
I'm
this
surprised, maybe not sad.
I think this represents what Lincoln said earlier, which is we have a different group of people on
There
the
you
jury
go.
this year, and they are clearly saying, "Hey, this is us." Maybe in a way.
Maybe.
All right. Anyway, here we go. Voting for the one we want. If it was us, 3, 2, 1, point. All right. Three fun facts
and
and
five.
5 dwarf romantics. Is
Yes,
that right?
I believe that's right.
Okay, doke. And now the one you think is going to win. Here we go. You guys ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
It's a hard choice.
It is.
I'm gonna
This is
shoot
an
myself
easy
in the
choice
foot
for me.
and say I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Me too.
3, 2, 1, vote.
Wow.
Okay.
So
We have
Nikki's got
7 to
fun
1
facts.
again.
7-1. Nikki with fun facts. I like it. I like it. The Dammers are on the outside. So challengers and fun facts wins.
Yeah.
Then we all have to
boy.
take
Then-
Lincoln Nikki out to dinner.
That's right.
Right.
The ultimate power makers.
It is just shot in the dark. But what do you think, Nikki Pie? Nikki P. What do you
Why,
prefer?
why
Yeah.
did I choose
That's the
Yeah,
jury
you're the
choosing
outlier,
it.
so what
she
do you
picked
think?
it. You know.
For the jury, it is a party game, and they have been choosing party games lately.
True.
I think they are trying to.
But
Cascadia?
Cascadia was not a party game
But-
last year.
No, but code names one, right?
Sure,
And
and just one.
just one.
And see,
Yeah.
to me, Acropolis
I
is sort
see
of
what
the
you're
next
saying.
Cascadia,
Cascadia.
Yeah,
and it's not being here might bolster Nikki's point, right?
Right.
Good point.
And macro, was it
Micro macro.
Yeah,
Macro Macro was 2 years
that's
ago,
kind of a joint.
Yeah.
It's not a party game, but you're working together.
No,
Yeah.
So you think because of party games?
because of party games, and I think that they are trying to shift what they call heavy or
They're not heavy.
Family game?
Yeah.
a family game.
I think Dwarf Romantic is a great choice for the jury because it's not really a legacy, it's a campaign game. You can reset it, you don't have to tear anything up. And it's something that they probably have wanted. I mean, My City was nominated and didn't get it. And I thought My City was a great choice that year. So I don't know. I don't know that there's a lot of different people since My City. So
This also adheres to
Dwarf Romantic gets to ride that wake and
Yeah.
bonus off of My City's Miss
Yeah.
Award.
Dwarf Romantic also adheres to the Mark Johnson Kinderspiel rule, which is so Mark always felt that the Kinderspiel vote would always be the game that looks the best out of the box. Because if you're buying a game for your kid, the
Oh,
one
yeah.
that you want to give your children are the ones where they open the box, it's got the coolest
Cool.
looking thing.
Yeah.
And of these 3 boxes,
Yeah.
right? This
Yeah.
Dwarf Romantic is gorgeous when you open it up.
Fun
and-
Facts is not too far from just one. And I think it's better because they have those recesses that you're not going to smear. the
Physically,
stuff.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
physically those little wedges are brilliantly
Yeah,
made,
yeah.
but it's not a better game than just one.
Sure. But I'm saying build-wise.
Yeah.
it's-
Agreed. But I mean, I can see. So part of my,
Yeah.
other than the fact that I think this is just the best of the 3 games, and that Dwarf Romantic is also just a better game than the other 2 games, I also think it's a good choice to represent that sticker.
yeah,
on
I think
the
that's a
sticker on
great.
the
I
box.
think that's a great thing to think about. The box opening experience is definitely a thing.
It's certainly
that
a thing
sells
with-
games and gets people remembering.
I agree with Mark that it's certainly more of a factor with the Kinderspiel
Yeah.
more than anything
Oh, yeah.
else, for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Does anybody talk about Spinderella anymore?
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember
And that was
it, though.
beautiful.
I
I
don't know.
remember it.
Yeah.
but
The one
it's not-
that year though, for me, it was Push a Monster was the true
Yeah.
good one.
But does anyone talk about Push a Monster? I mean,
no,
kids
because it
games-
didn't win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other reality. You have to win to actually have any kind of.
But kids games.
We need Brian in here
kids
since he's
games
actually
move
won
down,
the
right?
Kennerspiel.
Kids games move down the line, right?
Yeah.
The minute your child is too old for that game,
Yeah, you give it to some other.
it
hand
just-
it down
It
to
goes
another
out of
kid.
your life.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think it's a good year. It's a different year.
It's a
You know,
different year.
for sure. A different year. It does not. I feel that maybe you're correct about Cascadia pushing out.
I was
Acropolis.
really surprised when Acropolis did not show up here.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
Acropolis
Yes.
is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whether
Yeah.
it's better than
Right.
Cascadia or not, I don't know. But it felt like the same kind of game, but also different at the same point.
Right.
So when I saw it was on the recommended lists,
Yeah.
as was QE,
Yes.
right? So I understand that. I don't remember what were recommended on the Kennerspiel.
The recommendeds were Mindbug and Council of Shadows from Alea, which was kind of exciting. Alea getting a recommendation. I
don't even know what's Mindbug.
I don't know. I don't know that one at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
And there's a bunch of recommendations for the SDJ this year.
I played
as well.
Council of Shadows. It actually showed up on Brett Spiel
right
not long ago, which is an odd place to try to play it because it has Council of Shadows has a lot of boards going on, and Brett Spiel is great, but it's not as good as say BGA. It's showing you a lot of different boards on your screen.
I haven't played Mindbug, but I think it's a Richard Garfield design.
Oh wow!
That's right. I know.
Okay.
I've seen it.
And what was the special award this year?
The special award was for Unlock and Unlock Kids, I think, is what they were. So it was actually Unlock Game Adventures, which we played all 3 of those, and really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
We did one on the show, which was Pandemic, and then we did Ticket to Ride and the Mysterium one on the streams, and they were great. I've not played the kids ones, but it's exciting that they're acknowledging that system because I don't know, maybe there's the getting into it kind of a thing is a challenge for people that aren't, it's not that hard, but maybe those puzzle games are, because they did Exit in a few years ago now. And and Unlock was not too far after that, so maybe it's weird that we're going to give this game an award. Maybe they wanted it to win too. They wanted to be awarded, and they just could put it on the list.
It probably didn't hurt that the Unlock that they specifically awarded were
the Game Adventures one
were based on other boards.
Yeah.
But the Unlock system is also replayable in the way that the Exit system isn't.
Right.
So I could see where that would make it different enough. Maybe I don't know. Well, all right. That's all of the Spiel des Jahres games for the regular prize and the Kennerspiel. Thank you for hanging in with us here. In theory, I believe we have videos for every one of these games.
We do?
Yes, thank you. GameNight. So if you haven't seen any of these games or don't know anything about them, you can click those little links and watch the GameNight video links. If you like GameNight, please consider subscribing to our channel. If you do, click that little bell and then you'll get notifications whenever we add new content. Thank you for joining us.